Mr. Accountant Property Guy. What are we working on today? Most definitely, I promise you that we are not going to work on any other thing else except on ourselves, because we are the center, we are the pillar of anything, whatever you can think of. So today's aspect, basically, I'm talking to self about reminder to self that I should never think, or I should never invest in material things, or think more of my acquaintance, things that I can acquire, the wealth, more than myself. And I will tell you the reason why. Because at the end of the day, all the things that one is able to acquire, I mean the riches, I'm talking about the cars, the properties, whatever, the money in your bank account, those things, they mean nothing if there is no value in you as a person. I will give you, for example, imagine, I can tell you so many people, there are so many people that have got a lot of money, but some of them, they are not happy. Some of them, they regret certain things. Some of them, they wish they can, they wish to even trade off the things that they have in order for them to have peace, in order for them to have happiness, in order for them to just, feel good about themselves. So what am I saying this evening? It's a matter of fact that we are talking about this. Our time is in the evening. So I just want to talk to self and remind myself, Mr. Accountant Property Guy, that never ever, and I mean never ever, should put the material things first before yourself. I mean, when you talk about valuable things, according to me, valuable things, most of the time, there is no intrinsic value, there is no money can even measure. I'm talking about life. You cannot buy life. I'm talking about peace. You cannot buy peace. I'm talking about the sleep. Some they try to buy tablets, but the sleep of a tablet and a normal sleep, cannot be compared to anything. So this evening, I'm talking to self, reminding myself that, if I was to be constant, if I was to commit, if I was to keep focus on self, most definitely, I mean the direction, sometimes they say some of the things are difficult or hard to maintain simply because you will find yourself dealing with the fruits instead of dealing with the root. So what am I saying this evening? I'm saying we need to stick to dealing with the root, and the root is ourselves. Imagine if you're to find yourself being a smart person, being somebody who's well balanced as far as categories or as far as spheres of life is concerned. Most definitely, you are most likely to attract good things. The other day I was listening to a podcast, a Spenwell guy podcast. He was interviewing this guy called our minister. He's funny, Gayton Mackenzie. He indicated something very funny in a way, because he was saying that most of people, they were telling him that he's not educated. Sometimes they make fun of him, called him bandit because he went to prison. And whereas others, they feel like they were educated, they feel like they're better. But interestingly, he was saying, according to him, he knows what is important to himself, and he understands that it is himself that is more important than anything. Because he said some people believe that their education, their qualification makes them to be better than him. And he said, when I look at it, according to him, it's not right. And I can somehow reference with him, because he say the very people that go and acquire those qualifications, he is the one who is hiring them. They are the very same people that come to seek for employment. So what can we learn from this thing? So at the end of the day, this example is just trying to illustrate that sometimes it's not about acquiring things. Sometimes it's not about, never ever feel like your value is increasing through acquiring something. Because according to me, if you were to follow that logic, if you were to measure yourself to say, I'm growing simply because I've acquired or purchased more property, for me, I would say that is not an organic growth. Because, somebody acquire more qualification, you feel like you are growing simply because you have acquired more qualification. According to me, that is not an organic growth. You feel like you have grown simply because your bank balance has increased. No, that is not growth. Mr. Accountant Property Guy, this evening, I just want to clear this thing out. That all the acquaintance, whatever that you can acquire, they are not the real thing. But instead, what they are resembling, they are resembling your capability. So the distinction that Mr. Accountant Property Guy, that you need to get from this is that the material things, they are just a reflection of a shadow. And we know a shadow, sometimes it depends. It can move. Sometimes when there is the day, there is a certain time that is there is a certain time that is not there. But the real thing stands, but the shadow is not there all the time. So what am I trying to say? So I'm trying to say, let's, as an individual, as a human being, let us not make a mistake of thinking that we are the shadow. Because sometimes if you are to make that kind of mistake, you'll find yourself focusing more on the shadow, missing the point of focusing on the real thing. I can give, for instance, every day during the day, 12 o'clock, there is no shadow because the sun is at the center. And even life, remember the sun during the day, it's a cycle, it's clockwise. So the same is the life. Imagine if you were banked, all your hope, all your confidence is on the shadow. The shadow, I'm referring to the material things that you have acquired. And let's say we give typical example that if the opportunity was to come to you at 12 o'clock where there is no shadow, who are you then? It sounds like a silly question, but believe in me, life is like that. There will be certain things, life will be throwing you in different cycles, and some of the things will be coming at exactly 12 o'clock where the shadow is not there. And it means that everything that will be coming to you at 12 o'clock, then you are nobody. And that will be the biggest mistake. So in this podcast, in this session, I just want to, Mr. Accountant Property, to work to say, remind yourself that focus. Don't you ever make a mistake of thinking that the shadow is an extension. Yes, the shadow sometimes can make things to be better, can create opportunity, but it's not the real thing. The real thing is you, meaning you need to invest in yourself and never ever make a mistake of also thinking that your value is aligned to the shadow, which is the material things. So I think with that being said, we can do better and know that the fact that you don't have money now is not a problem. The problem is if you are constantly forgetting to work on yourself, constantly doing nothing to work on yourself, years after years, nothing on yourself, because at the end of the day, it means that you will have nothing. So, and sometimes don't be discouraged or be intimidated if someone comes with the shadow. Certain shadows are not based on a permanent structure, if I may say. Certain shadows, remember, structures, if they're tall, if they're big, they will always create a shadow. But the next question that you need to ask yourself is to say whether that shadow, is it coming from a permanent structure? And if not, then you should not worry about anything. So, Mr. Content Property Guy, cheers, and definitely we are not going to make a mistake, for we know that the value lies in a human being. The value lies in life, not on the things. The things, the material things, are just a resemblance or an epitome of what a life is capable of, or what the value that is embedded in that life. So if we're to do that, believe in me, the sky is the limit and we're going to conquer everything. Cheers, I'm out.